Love life. I came across this amazing little video clip yesterday wherein I saw a whole bunch of people who jumped off a city bus sometime back in the 1980s. How do I know it was the 1980s? Because I remember those city buses back in the 1980s. I got this feeling of nostalgia, a beautiful feeling. I saw a whole bunch of people who jumped off a city bus with those big stereo. Remember those big stereos back in the 1980s? Big stereo. And they started dancing. And a whole bunch of people joined them in a circle and were dancing. And some of the people were interviewed afterwards and they said, we just felt this feeling of happiness, of just gratitude and just feeling of love for life, just being able to be alive. We felt that to be a gift. I thought that was pretty amazing. Love life. Powerful stuff, right? That feeling of nostalgia. Reminiscing those city buses back in the 1980s put a warm feeling in my heart. I'd like to carry on and talk about the importance of positivity, of gratitude, and the importance of putting yourself out there, doing kind acts to others, even if you get nothing in return. Well, why would I do that? I'm only going to do kind acts to others if I get something in return. No. You could do that. Not stopping you from doing whatever you want to do. But the best way to improve your mental health, the best way to improve your mood, the best way to live a good life in all areas of your life is to do kind acts to others, even if you get nothing in return. And as for those who give you nothing in return, as for those who just take and reject you, beware of the fact that they're living in darkness. So if you shine your light, you will eventually become light. If you keep on shining your light, especially when the people unto whom you shine your light just ignore it, don't respond to it, especially then, if you shine light wherever you go, you'll get back light in your heart. God repays with his ingredients. If you use his ingredients, because God's kindness, God's nature is all about love, happiness, grace, kindness, and love. Do it, and you'll see the amazing benefits that will come. Not right away. Nothing amazing comes right away. I'm going to follow on with a beautiful verse which Jewish people from around the world will be listening to in synagogues on Saturday. The verse reads as follows. It's in Exodus 31, verse 17, and I'm going to start in the middle of the verse. Ki sheishes yomim, for 7 days, Asa Hashem es hashamayim v'sa'aretz. God created the sky and the earth. Uvayoyim hashvi shavas vayinafash. And on the 7th day, he rested and he relaxed. He went to a state of repose, into a state of solitude. Jews are suggested, after 7 days of work, to mark the 7th day, rather after 6 days of work, to mark the 7th day as a day of rest, as a day of repose, as a day of relaxation. To go into a state of meditation. And it's interesting because the commentary Rashi says as follows. He says that the term vayinafash, which is the Hebrew term for rest, is derived from the concept of soul going into its natural state. The soul going to its natural state. And Rashi reads as follows: L'shoin nefesh hu l'shoin nefesh. V'chol l'shoin nefesh, v'chol l'shoin nefesh hu l'shoin nefesh. Every time you connote, you analyze the term rest, you will see that it all relates to the soul that is going into its natural and its normal state. Shemeshiv nafshay u'neshimosay bergiai mitorech hamalacha. For he returns his soul back to its natural state. He returns its soul back to its natural state when he calms it down, when he goes into a state of repose, to a state of rest, and to a state of relaxation, calmness from a long week of work and toil. Throughout the week of work and toil, we tend to allow the penetration of others to come into us. We deal with customers who are always there at our beck and call, and sometimes they can penetrate into our mind unkind behavior. And sometimes they can penetrate into our mind a feeling that we're not good enough and we're not worthy. And that's what the Saturday is about. Saturday is not about congregating. It's not about going further into the energies of others. In other words, it's not about becoming consumed by other people's energies. It's about solitude. Of course, it's good to go to synagogue on Saturday. If you practice that sort of practice on Saturday, it's good to go to synagogue. It's good to pray. But it's about going deeper within, not deeper without. Again, it's about going deeper within, not deeper without. I think it's a shocking revelation. I think it comes as a shocking revelation to many people who have been encouraged to believe that their whole paradigm is driven by the exterior. Many people are encouraged to believe that they themselves are benign, they're trivial, they're unimportant, and they're encouraged to constantly take on the energies of others. They're also encouraged to believe that if they don't behave in a certain manner, God will come along with his wrath and punish them. When in actuality, God will do nothing of the sort. God is not about punishment. God is not about reproof, guilt. All these traits are human traits, which many human beings have decided to mirror unto God. It's a defilement of God. God is not about punishment. God is not about negativity. God is not about guilt. And God is not about reproof, anger, vengeance, and hate. And for those who live and believe in that paradigm, that's their stuff. We have no need to change them. But we can take a step back and we can decide we're going to live in a different manner. Somebody wants to live in a place of hate and negativity and anger and vengeance and frustration. Somebody wants to believe that when they finish this life, somebody's going to come along and hit them and smite them and give them punishment for every tiny little thing they did here. They can live like that. Nobody's going to stop you from doing that. You want to live in a place of darkness? Go right ahead. There's many people who will support you. They will defile God's name and allow you to live in such a place. But that's not what God's about. You got it all wrong. Those who got it all wrong, no problem. You might just need another life to come back within another incarnation, in another reincarnation. You might just need that to finally realize the truth. God is about love. God is about light. God is about beauty. God is about grace, kindness, and God wants you to be wealthy. Really? God wants me to be wealthy? But I've seen written in many, many different verses throughout the Bible that wealth is not good for the soul. Perhaps somebody gave you a misinterpretation of the verses. God is about wealth. Look around God's world, you'll see only extravagance, only lavishness, only bounty, love, grace, and abundance. Wherever you look, you'll see it. Concentrate on God's real world. Get to know the real God, which you may have been denied from. Get to know the real God. God is about love. God is about grace. God is about kindness. God is about abundance. God is about love for all beings and grace for all beings and kindness to everybody. And any form of deprivation, rejection, anger, and hate has nothing to do with God. And if you've been informed that that's what God is about, you have only just to read the verse I just read out to you. So plainly and simply. God wants you to relax, to remove yourself from the whole week's paradigm, wherein you allowed external energies to consume you. Saturday is about going into solitude. Saturday is about going into a deeper inner state of being. It's not about hinging on to the energies of others. 6 days of the week, God created the world, and on the seventh day, He rested, and He wanted to do the same. And everybody needs to rest on the seventh day. Some people think you only need to rest if you've worked for 6 days. Got it wrong. It's always worth marking the seventh day, Saturday. Because when you mark the seventh day, when you mark Saturday, you have 6 days to work. And you have the seventh day to change and to make different and to mark. When you mark a day, when you have some days which are different from other days, your life is different. Your life is set up differently. That doesn't mean that if you were encouraged in your primary years to see Saturday as a day of punishment, that doesn't mean that it's true. There are some people who were raised that way. There's some people who were raised to believe that 6 days we work, and on the seventh day we're not allowed to do anything. We need to sit like this all day. Kind of like the Egyptians in Egypt when the plague of darkness befell. That's incorrect. And those who believe in that paradigm, it might take them another lifetime to realize the truth. God is about love. God is about kindness. God is about grace. God is about peace. God is not about hate. And those who believe differently to me, those who believe differently to you, they can believe differently. It's okay. And those who don't believe in God, so they don't believe in God. That doesn't affect God. It doesn't affect you. They can have their beliefs and you can have your beliefs. I have found, though, that there are many people who don't believe in God because they've been programmed to believe that God is a hateful, vengeant God. And it is my view that do as you wish. If you see God as hateful and vengeant, and therefore you want to not believe in Him, go right ahead and do that. It doesn't bother God either. God is a loving God. And those who taught you that God is about feeling guilt 24/7 because you didn't do something exactly the way you're supposed to, that's their paradigm. You want to live there, that's fine. And if you want to excommunicate from that and move totally out of that paradigm, because you believe that paradigm to be true and therefore you have to remove yourself from it, do that as well. Do whatever works for you. I'm all about peace. I'm all about love. And for those who live in a state of hate, I know it might take a couple lifetimes, a couple of reincarnations for them to get to the truth. And God is patient. God's full of love. God is light. I share my light wherever I go. Because I know wherever I share my light, darkness can exist. If you share your light in every nook and cranny of your life, if you share your light wherever you go, you're loving and considerate of all beings at all times, you'll become one big piece of light, and darkness will not be able to exist inside of you. Now, it's important that I make it very clear. There are stalkers out there. And the only way to respect a stalker is to not respond. And sometimes you have to block them, because they have to get back into their own space. They've been distracting from their own pain and suffering for a very long time. So you have to just remove yourself from them. So there are stalkers out there. Sometimes you have to be totally divorced from them. You have to block yourself from them. But most people are not stalkers. Most people are kind and caring. And sometimes they go through periods of hate. When that happens, just move back. Don't get sucked into it. Some people get like sucked into this like whirlpool kind of thing. Because that's what hate could do. It could become like a magnet. Like I remember as a child, I once went on a ride in an amusement park. I think it was called Dorothy Park or Dorney Park. I can't remember. And we went on this like wash machine, which is like a whirlpool, go like a wash machine, which like pulls you down, and the gravity keeps you standing against the wall, and you kind of feel like a pull, which makes you stuck there. And many people who are struggling with inner hate and who only shine darkness wherever they go are in that state. They're stuck to that dark wall, and therefore they can't shine light. Just shine your light wherever you go. And when somebody rejects you, somebody ignores you, I'm quite familiar with that. I've had people in my life who have ignored me for many years. Anybody who ignores you, they're ignoring themselves. Just know that. They're not ignoring you. And I've also learned, because I've been ignored, I got to finally learn, I got to realize that, hey, you haven't been taking care of yourself, I realized with time. You're ignored because God wanted you to explore your own self, your own soul. And since I've done that, I've started meditating more. I'm not going to say I'm in a perfect place yet, because nobody's perfect. We came to this world to live life and to aim for perfection. I've spoken about this in a couple of videos past. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I spoke about the concept of aiming for perfection, but being aware that you're likely never going to ever get to a place of perfection. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Correct me, please put in the comment section down below when I actually spoke about this idea of aiming for perfection, but being fully aware that you're likely never going to get to perfection. That's my message today. I want to thank Mike for his amazing comments, and many others who have left comments in the last few weeks, in the last few days. As you know, I always respond to comments. I'm very kind and gracious like that. I love your feedback. Your feedback is important to me. And I'm so grateful for the many new subscribers who have come on board in the last few weeks, especially in the last few days. Thank you. I'm humbled. You are so kind. Thank you for joining our amazing group here, who are all about light, who are all about kindness, all about improving our lives with spirituality, with love, with inner peace, with inner repose, with courage, tenacity, determination, within the realm, within the paradigm of extravagance, lavishness. Because God's world is full of abundance. Wherever you look, you'll see abundance. Look outside. Look at the grass. Look at the trees. Look at the tall trees and the small trees. And look at the trees who survive throughout the winters. You'll see that concept of grace. You'll see the concept of resilience, of courage. I don't know if you can hear it, but the wind is blowing in the background. It's been quite windy the last couple of days. Those trees, the majority of them keep standing despite the winds, because they're all about love. The trees are responding with more force. I can hear in the background. You probably can't hear the background noise. Probably can't. Trees remain standing despite the winds, despite the forces outside, because they're all about love, all about godliness, all about kindness. I love you all. Have a great week. I look forward to your amazing comments. Thanks, Mike, for your amazing comments. Thanks, Beth, for your amazing comments. Thank Michael for your amazing comments, and many others who have left your amazing comments the last few days and last few weeks and last few months. I'm ever so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you all, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a great Shabbat, a great Saturday, a great weekend. I love you.